Hare Krishna, everybody. In the previous videos, I was sharing the details from the scriptures. The very important thing that we need to remember is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I was saying that Sri Vyasa Maharshi mentioned that the absolute truth is Param Satyam, that is the topmost, and Parameshvara is the his twin. I mentioned that because Vyasa Maharshi, he was not disclosing all the absolute secrets in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to analyze, because now I'm getting the divine intervention from the Supreme Lords, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Sri Nityananda Mahaprabhu. Because I'm getting the divine intervention from them. Now we are having the scriptures written by pure Vaishnava warriors. From that, we have to analyze the true knowledge. We have to analyze, and research and realize the true knowledge. Now we came to know that Param Satyam, the absolute truth, is two. That is, the divine serpent, the one hood. There are many hoods in the divine serpent. We'll have to say that there are seven hoods in the divine serpent. That's what the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is saying, that there are seven hoods in the divine serpent, which are the true Vishnu forms. Okay, and all the other divine hoods, all the other hoods of the divine serpent are mainly meant for the protection, the sustaining, and supporting the entire universe, and also for other leelas, pastimes, which are very, very important to protect the material worlds and all the realms, the universe protection. It's not just for fun. The purpose of all the other hoods is also there, and it's not just a simple leela. Not fun leela. That's what I meant to say. So the Param Satyam is two. Param Satyam, that is Parama Purusha, is Lord Sri Rama. Parameshwara is Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Sri Nivasa, right? Actually, I was mentioning that Jagannatha is Lord Sri Rama and Vishwanatha is Srinivasa. But if you remember, in the Srimad Bhagavatam introduction itself, I mentioned that we all were assuming that the super soul is Lord Shri Krishna. Because it's in the scriptures, even in Bhagavad Gita, it's given that Lord Shri Krishna is the Paramatma. So I was thinking, just like everybody, even in Ishopanishad, it's mentioned that there are three aspects of the absolute truth. And the second aspect is Paramatma. Paramatma, everywhere, even in Bhagavad Gita, it's given that Lord Shri Krishna is the Paramatma. Absolute truth is the topmost. Supreme Personality of Godhead, they mention just one. That is also Krishna, they mention. And the effulgence. He's all pervading. That's what they mention in Ishopanishad. That's what I remember. But if you look at the introduction part in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how is Paramatma mentioned? By using which name? Let me show. So the original source of all energies, the living force. He is logically accepted as a supreme person. He is therefore conscious of everything, past, present, and future, and also of each and every corner of his manifestations, both material and spiritual. Hmm? When a living being is perfect, he is aware of everything that happens. Since the Supreme Person is all perfect, it is quite natural that he knows everything in all detail. Consequently, the perfect personality is addressed in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Vasudeva, or one who lives everywhere in full consciousness and in full possession of his complete energy. So, here, then at that time in the previous video, I mentioned that Vasudeva is Lord Shri Krishna, because Vasudeva is Krishna. That's what we know, and he is residing in the hearts of the Jivatmas. So he is called Vasudeva, and that's what is a Paramatma. It doesn't mean that he is in the second category. No, you should never imagine it like that. Divine serpent. Just imagine the divine serpent and the hoods. All the hoods are of the same the very big divine serpent. They all have one supreme body, and the hoods are different because they are managing the entire universe as a team. And you see, every time there is some kind of discrimination about the Supreme Lords, about Jivatmas, how gods don't care about the Jivatmas, how gods don't worry about the Jivatmas. Even in one of my, again I'm saying this, in one of my previous videos I mentioned that Tirumala, there was this very bad Chakravarti, Tondaman Chakravarti. Because of his irreligious rule, the Supreme Lord Srinivasa, that is Lord Shri Krishna, said he would not be available to the people in his real form. So he became a Shila. So I was saying that there are two dimensions in Tirumala. One is the if something is polluted, if some devotee is showcasing irreligious illicit acts, that is polluted, so then it needs a lot of parishkara. I'm not saying that Tirumala is bad. Tirumala is a very very huge punya kshetra, but there are a lot of irreligious demons in Tirumala also. That's what I'm saying. So in the material, there are two dimensions in Tirumala. Pure Vaishnavas, that is those who are purely devoted to Lord Sri Krishna, purely devoted to Lord Srinivasa, who truly follow the guidelines of Bhagavad Gita, they will be blessed by the real Parameshwara, that is Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Srinivasa is Lord Sri Krishna. And the material world realm, where there are so many irreligious activities in the material realm, so there the Supreme Lord Krishna is watching everything. He is watching everything, but because the devotees themselves love the other gods, right? Where people, I mentioned, if you remember, Dattatreya story, Anastasya is very very impious. She is not pure. See, it is high time we realize that. She is going nude and feeding supreme lords, and that is really very cheap. So if people believe Dattatreya, Anasuya, and then if they want to believe in the Supreme Lord, Lord Sri Krishna, seriously, just imagine, he is totally against lust, anger, greed. He is the one who preached Bhagavad Gita. So he would never even go in that direction. He is the one. Actually, Parameshwara is Lord Sri Krishna. And you know what really happened was, Kamadahan was done by Lord Sri Parameshwara, that is Srinivasa, Vishwanatha, Lord Sri Krishna. What did he do? That Manmatha was burnt, because Manmatha was employed by Parvati to create love in Parameshwara. So what happened? That was completely destroyed. That motive was completely destroyed. So lust is destroyed by Lord Sri Krishna. It is not Shiva. See, okay, I will give you the details. So I have to be very, very slow in giving you the details. I cannot rush into the facts now. So, Lord Sri Krishna is the true Parameshwara. That we need to remember. The Supreme Brahman is two, Lord Sri Rama and Lord Sri Krishna. Srinivasa is Lord Sri Krishna. Shiva Keshava Bhedam. No. You should never include Shiva in pure Krishna consciousness. Why? Because Shiva is shown as a pure Vaishnava. He is shown as a great devotee. But why is he beheading people? Why is he beheading his own child? Why did he behead Brahma? Okay, he was he's called Kapali. So also see Dharma Artha Kama Moksha is there. Dharma Artha Kama Moksha means one is progressing in the path of liberation. The path of liberation is in the purification of the soul. The more you purify your soul, the more you are in the path of liberation. And the more you're in the path of liberation, you will be following Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So this Kama is within the Dharma. So it's not away. It should not be used independently. It should not be used in a separate kshetra. So the thing is, Lord Sri Krishna is Supreme Brahman 2. Lord Sri Rama is Supreme Brahman 1. Let me show you few more articles about the super soul. See, Ishvara, the Supreme Lord Krishna as Rishikesha, he is sitting in everyone's heart as Paramatma and he is guiding. But Krishna is mentioned as Parameshwara. He is a supreme controller. Everybody knows, even the name itself says that Krishna means attraction. That means he is the supreme controller, Parameshwara. Lord Sri Rama is the Paramapurusha. He is the supreme Lord, Paramapurusha. Lord Sri Krishna is the Parameshwara, that is the supreme controller. The Krishna name itself says that he is the supreme controller. He is attraction. Krishna means attraction in pure sense. So here there are so many and so many details written in the scriptures where it is mentioned. It's confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the living entities are parts and parcels of Krishna. No sane man therefore will accept the theory that the super soul and the individual soul are of the same category. There are two. Okay, so here every living being is limited by time and space. Even though a living being is qualitatively one with the Lord, quantitatively there is a great difference between the supreme soul and the common individual soul. We should learn to depend on Krishna more and more. Actually, Krishna is always guiding us as super soul, but due to our forgetfulness, we do not understand that Krishna is friend everlasting. See, there are so many details about Krishna is Paramatma, but actually Krishna is Parameshwara. And I'll show you another important evidence. One second. See, this is also from a very important scriptures by Srila Rupa Goswami. According to Vaishnava tradition, it is important to hear these stories, not only because of the philosophical points they convey, but also because they free us from the cycle of birth and death. As Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. In other words, devotees are mandated not only to learn the mysteries of the Lord's activities, but also how he appears in the world. His birth is instructive, telling us about his true nature, and thus liberating us from the material existence. So, see, it's very important. We need to know their real birth. Krishna himself is saying that. The Krishna known as Yadukumara is Vasudeva Krishna. He is different from the Krishna who is the son of Nanda Maharaja. See this? So the more I'm giving you the evidence, you really should be able to believe that there are expansions of Krishna and they are different but non-different. Just because they are different, it doesn't mean that they are of another aspect. They are all the same. They are all the aspects of the same Supreme Brahman. So he is different from the Krishna who is the son of Nanda Maharaja. Yadukumara Krishna manifests his pastimes in the cities of Madura, Dwaraka, but Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaja. But here it says that he never leaves Vrindavana, but actually it's not possible. With this as a backdrop, we could legitimately ask, how is it that Krishna takes birth in nearby Mathura if he never leaves Vrindavan? But before going on to explain this, a few words are in order about what Srila Rupa Goswami is saying in the above verse. It's not that there are many Krishnas as some scholars have mistakenly theorized and as a superficial reading of this verse might indicate. Rather, what is being referred to here is the complex topic of expansion and incarnation. See, I also use the same word, expansion. Remember, the divine serpent, the main hood, and the adjacent hood. Now we are just talking about the first two hoods. That means the four important incarnations of the Supreme Brahman. Sri Rupa's verse tells us that the original form of Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, expands into plenary forms and other manifestations for specific purposes. This is what we need to know now. So, now we know that Supreme Brahman, Lord Sri Rama, Lord Sri Krishna are the two important as two twins, the twins of the first Supreme Brahman, the first hood, Lord Sri Rama and Lord Sri Krishna. They are everywhere. Even Balarama is Lord Sri Krishna. Balarama is Lord Sri Rama and Lord Sri Krishna is his twin brother. They are actually same, Supreme Brahman 1 and 2. Because Lord Sri Rama is the elder twin and Lord Sri Krishna is the younger twin. Twins are actually, they don't have much gap in their birth. Lord Sri Rama, Lord Sri Krishna and Lord Sri Lakshmana, Lord Sri Shatrugna. They both are also twins. They belong to the second hood. That is the hood in the left side. This is Lord Sri Rama. That is Nityananda Mahaprabhu is Balarama. Balarama is the Lord Sri Rama, the divine serpent, first hood, and in the left side of Lord Sri Rama is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is Lord Shatrugna. Shatrugna became Uddhava. Uddhava is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the supreme fact is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the true Paramatma who is residing in everybody's hearts, Jivatma's hearts. If you really know Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life story, you will be absolutely happy, completely blissful, happy, and you'll be jumping with joy. Paramatma, and he is like, he did amazing, beautiful ways to show devotion. How he showed preaching, how we should preach, what the he gave the prescribed rules and regulations. He gave a lot of preachings to people. He went he was he took sannyasa, and he, with Lord Sri Arjuna, Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Rama, with them, everybody empowered Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is the true Paramatma. And they empowered Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just imagine, the name Chaitanyam means consciousness. A living being has consciousness because of Paramatma. Just imagine so many living beings. The Supreme Brahman effulgence, that means Paramatma, is in all the living entities. Why is he all pervading? Why is he omnipotent? Why is he omnipresent? Because he is present in all the living entities. He is present in all the jivatmas, like even in fish, even in boar, even in elephants, even in horses, even in giraffes, all these beautiful animals. He is present in all these animals as Chaitanyam. That's why he is called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is the true Paramatma. And also in the human form, evolution process, humans are evolved in the process after the animals. Like, they are not erupting all of a sudden from some divine realm. Humans become perfect, become conscious, high topmost conscious beings. Humans are topmost conscious beings because they have gone through all these life forms. They become conscious, and if they are in the path of liberation, purification process, they are empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanyam, he guides them. So Paramatma is very, very precious. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came into this world. They all include all the four brothers, Lord Sri Rama and Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Arjuna and Lord Sri Shatrughna. That is Lord Sri Lakshmana and Shatrughna. Even in the story Ramayana, Lord Sri Rama is always with Lord Sri Lakshmana. That means Lord Sri Arjuna, that is Lakshmana, is the security. It's like he gives security into everybody who is in the pure Krishna consciousness. He's like, even in Ramayana, if you see, he's always with Lord Sri Rama. That's what we know, right? I mean, that's what we know from the Ramayana, that he's helping Lord Sri Rama. He's in front. He's in the front. He's guiding. I mean, he's helping and or doing all the things, and he is the true Vishwaksena. Vishwaksena is the obstacle remover. He is the true obstacle remover. We should worship the true obstacle remover. That is Lord Sri Arjuna, Lakshmana. And Bharata is the twin of Lord Sri Rama. He is always with Shatrughna, Lord Shatrughna. Because of these manipulations, see, we should not think, oh, no, how can they manipulate? We are all very pious. We are all Jivatmas in this Sanatana Dharma Bhumi. How can so much manipulation happen? We might think like that, but the demons won't think like that. They are just cunning. They just want power. They are so lusty, angry, and greedy. That's in their minds. That's how they work. So we cannot show sympathy to them because they don't have any sympathy for us. They just have lust, anger, greed. We don't know that we are lusty, angry, and greedy. They have given all those ugly qualities into people. If I say anything wrong about Siva, you people get very angry. I'm not saying anything about you. I'm just saying that Siva is very, angry. He's very angry, arrogant. He is this Ganesha. I don't know why he was born without the presence of Siva. First thing, that is very illicit. We have to be very, very pure and conscious thought process. Science, just use science. We have been learning so much of science. We should use science when we are trying to look at the facts. Chromosomes, I told you, I remember the Y chromosome is very powerful and XY is male. From that, all the somatic cells are formed. First XY, we men get the XY, and then the female get only XX. They don't have Y. So only first after the sex is formed, the all the other organs are created, produced. So that's how it is. And chromosomes are very important. How was that female Parvati, ex woman, how was she able to create a boy without a man? That's very, very doubtful. And doesn't she have any photo or idol? I mean, Parvati, Shiva Parvati, they are considered very, very pious, very the Adi, what is that? Adi Dampatulu and all. They don't. She doesn't have any image or idol also at home. That she is creating a boy. This she says, it's not possible. She cannot create a male child. Even female child she cannot create, and by herself. And she created a male child. She says, I am pretty sure there was some illicit relationship. I am very sorry. I am hurting so many sentiments, but it is true. We should just try to analyze. Just try to. I'm not against the pure gods. We really have pure Lalita Devi. That is Lalita Sakhi. Draupadi Mata is pure Lalita Devi. Sharada Mata is pure goddess of knowledge and wisdom. Not against gods and goddesses. Please try to understand. There is infiltration. We should try to understand, analyze how they have infiltrated. And she creates this boy, and he's become so arrogant. He's fighting his own father. He's not even mentioned, "Oh, this is your father. If he comes, you should allow him inside the hall, living room." That is also not mentioned. That Ganesha, that arrogant child, is fighting everybody, they say. And because of that child is fighting, beheading. Is that the answer for that? Because he's fighting, can't he just wait? Will she never come out of the inner apartments? If a beheading is done, how is there a possibility of moksha? Oh, the child is so arrogant. How can he be considered eligible for moksha? And he's a very small child. The main important thing that we all need to remember is beheading has been shown as a step for punishment, but it is not at all a step for punishment. It is like we are throwing them more into drudgery and slavery. If you need to punish a person, that we should do in pure Krishna consciousness, because this is Vishvam, Vishnu, Vashatkaro. Vishvam is all Vishnu. And okay, if they need to be punished, we need to follow the true rules and regulations. That is also there in the scriptures. All the manipulations are also there. The true rules and regulations are also there in the scriptures. So beheading, what will happen? Just imagine when the death is when a death occurs to a body after longevity, the soul passes on through the head. This chakra is there, Sahasrara chakra. From there it passes. That's when it is called Kapala Moksham. Kapala Moksham. That means you're taking the so much of knowledge that you have gained with you. That's how you're able to improve in the path of liberation. Knowledge. You take knowledge with you. It's not that you don't take anything with you. If there is some irreligion, you cannot take your knowledge and wealth with you. If you're in the path of true religion, true pure Krishna consciousness, you will be able to take your knowledge with you. Knowledge is very, very important. Knowledge is power. But if the beheading is done, the soul gets stuck in this material world as evil spirit. But Parameshwara, Lord Sri Krishna Parameshwara, we should mention Lord Sri Krishna as Sri Krishna Parameshwara, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the true Paramatma. They both are equals. Remember that. No discrimination. You should not. So, if there is a beheading which is not by the true gods, by the Shiva and all, Brahma, all that impersonal Vishnu also did a beheading of mother, Kavya Mata, he did a beheading. See, that is very wrong, because when what happens is, they are very arrogant, they should be punished. I understand punishment is required, but beheading, the Jivatma or Jivatmika, they will not be able to remember their past. If beheading is done, the knowledge, how will they remember? Oh, they are very asuric. What is the necessity they need to remember all the past? They're so bad, we can say that. But every asura is I'm talking about I'm not talking about the irreligious asuras, demons. I'm talking about the jivas who were turned into asuras. We need to remember the difference. Jivatmas who are misled by irreligious gods, they become asuras, okay? They themselves, they don't become asuras. They become asuras. Why are they becoming asura? Because of bad association. And don't you think they have even a single moment of good memory, pure love, affection in their life? They definitely have. Even Mahishasura, Hidimba, they all have beautiful relationships. They had, definitely. So, if the beheading is done, that knowledge is lost. We don't have any authority to make others lose their knowledge. That is deceiving, cheating, bluffing, cunning, motive. Where did you hear all this? Brahma created all this. So, we should not really go and in a fit of rage, beheading, we should not do that beheading. So, another story is about who was Rama attacking. Rama, Lord Sri Rama is very, 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 very pure, Supreme Lord. And Lord Sri Krishna, even though he is also Supreme Brahman, he is serving Lord Sri Rama because he is the elder twin. That's the only reason. That is pure Sanatana Dharma. That's the only reason all the Supreme Lords, Lord Sri Arjuna, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Sri Krishna, they are all serving Lord Sri Rama. What is the reason? Because he is the elder twin. That is pure Sanatana Dharma. That is respect. There is worship, pure love, pure devotion, pure surrender, pure attraction, pure friendship between the Supreme Lords. They are very pure. They are showing their true character. They are giving us the information about their true relationships, true values they show towards Jivatmas. And there is a story where Jaya Vijayalu become the demons. Lord Sri Rama is very, very stickler to rules and regulations. Dharma. He is Dharma Purusha. He is Supreme Brahman. He is the Parama Purusha. He is the Lord of this universe. And if he is Lord of the universe, why would he? How can he is not? He is Parama Purusha. Why would he fight Jaya Vijaya demons? He would not wish to fight them. He would want to correct them. He would want to correct them. What really happened in Srimad Ramayana is Lord Sri Rama was punished by Kaikeyi Mata, who is not the true wife of Dashrath Maharaj. Dashrath Maharaj is Nanda Maharaja, and Dashrath Maharaja's wife Kaushalya Mata is Yashoda Maiya. So they are pure souls, pure husband-wife, pure soulmates. That is pure dharma. The woes were not by the true mother. The other mother, Kaikeyi Mata, should not be considered wife at all, because she is the stepwife. In true facts, in true pure dharma, Kaikeyi Mata is not considered mother, but she is stepmother. Because she is stepmother, they respect Kaikeyi Mata as mother. And the Supreme Lords, all the four of them were born to Kaushalya Mata. Monozygotic twins together in one womb, one placenta, one womb, the four kids. That's how they were born. And they were not born to the other two mothers. That is irreligion, illicit relationship. Lord Sri Rama's father, would he go for illicit relationship? He would not. He did not. And the true soulmate is Kaushalya Mata. And Kaikeyi Mata was undercover. She was undercover as a bad woman, bad mother. She was attracting all the other bad energies, negative forces to her. Who is giving her bad ideas? Who is giving her bad suggestions? That's how they were able to gather knowledge, gather information about the bad forces. So, Kaikeyi Mata was showing off as if she was very angry and all. And she asked for boons. 14 years of Vanvas of Lord Sri Rama and Bharata to be crowned. But what really happened? These two vows were asked by Kaikeyi Mata, and Bharata was also present at that time. Lord Sri Rama would not accept such illicit vows. He should not, because Kaikeyi Mata is not the true mother. But he did not disrespect Kaikeyi Mata. How did this really work out? Because Bharata is Lord Sri Krishna himself. Bharata is Lord Sri Krishna himself. What did he do? Because he was still, actually the thing is, Parameshwara Sri Krishna, what did he do was, he ingested the halahal. After destroying that lusty demon, he ingested the halahal, he had this anger, rage in him. So he was Hiranyaksha in Satya Yuga, and Lord Sri Krishna was Ravana in Treta Yuga. So he was having all the anger of the infiltrated anger, illicit anger from of the irreligious gods that they have been spreading. Why did the irreligious gods? Why did the religious gods infiltrate? When there is pure Krishna consciousness, if there is a Jivatma who is not following the pure Krishna consciousness, if they are wishing for other gods to come, if they are wishing for illicit or bad affairs, then the irreligious gods infiltrated. But I don't know the complete deep facts about this, but the Supreme Lords, they all want the pure Jivatmas to be in the purification path. You might feel, I really like Shiva only, but Shiva is there. Yudhishthir Maharaja is the true Sadashiva. So, Draupadi Mata is the true Lalita Sakhi, Lalita Devi. Hanuman is not the true worship devotee. Bhimasena is the true devotee. So, what happened was, because he ingested the halahal, he had to remove all those qualities. Only the Supreme Lords can liberate the Jivatmas. The only Supreme Lords can purify us. So what happened? Lord Sri Bharata was still in the bad side. Like he was in the bad side, that is, he had anger issues. Because of the infiltration, he knows all this. Remember, Lord Sri Krishna is Parameshwara. He is the supreme controller. That's why he took all the halahal into him. He is a supreme controller. He knows how to eradicate, destroy all those negative qualities. So Bharata became Ravana. Bharata and Shatrughna. Lord Sri Bharata disguised as Rama and Shatrughna disguised as Lord Sri Arjuna. They abducted their own wife, Sita. Sita is Sri Lakshmi, and they abducted their own wife, and Lord Sri Lord Sri Bharata became Ravana. It's like he was like taking all those irreligious people. On the way, he saw, not everybody in the path were irreligious, but whoever was irreligious, he was able to find, and he took all of them to Lanka. He was the one who took all of them to Lanka. And from there, the story. Now, let me fast forward real quick to Yuddha Kanda. And just imagine, Jaya Vijayalu cannot face Lord Sri Rama. This is true fact. Because the whole thing is, Lord Sri Krishna was bringing all those irreligious people together, and he was fighting Lord Sri Rama himself. And in process, Lord Sri Rama was able to eradicate the negative qualities that were present in Ravana. Let me real quick show you some of the portions of Yuddha Kanda of Ramayana, where you will be able to see the powerful battle between Rama and Ravana. That is, Lord Sri Rama was fighting Bharata, who turned into Ravana. So Rama, who was severely struck by the mighty Ravana, did not get upset, nor was he even tortured. See, excellent part. That Ravana, falling a prey to anger for retreating his horses, discharged sharp arrows on Rama. See, just now I was mentioning that lust, anger, greed, or the irreligious characteristics. And Ravana was completely angry during the battle. That is, Lord Shri Krishna is Bharata. Bharata was the one who, along with Shatrughna, abducted their own wife Sita, and that is Mandodari. Sita became Mandodari in Lanka. Rama, who was severely struck by the mighty Ravana, did not get upset. See, that is Lord Sri Rama. He is a pure warrior. Directing towards Matali, Indra's charity, Ravana hurled arrows with the sound similar to that of a thunderbolt. See, Ravana is so powerful. Everybody is so attracted. So many film stars, movie directors, they are all getting attracted to Ravana. See, the attraction is because of Krishna. Krishna is attraction. Arrows of great speed fallen on Matali's body did not cause even a pretty little bewilderment on him. Enraged at that daring attack on Matali, Rama, who for his part did not feel provoked by the attack on himself, made his enemy turn away by hurling a network of arrows on him. The valiant Rama discharged 20, 30, 60, hundreds, thousands of arrows on the enemy's chariot. Thereupon even Ravana, the enraged king of demons, see, there is his king of demons. I was mentioning Srinivasa as the controller, protector of the conditioned souls. See, conditioned souls means people who unknowingly become irreligious. Who unknowingly follow the negative qualities. So Ravana became the king of demons. Who was seated in the chariot, tormented Rama by showering maces, mallets on him in the battle. The battle thus started again by then was tumultuous, causing one's hair to stand erect, with the sounds of maces, mallets, iron rods. Thousands of all the demons and serpents inhabited in the nethermost subterranean region, agitated oceans, felt disturbed. See, the entire earth, including mountains, groves, forests, trembled. Because the Supreme Lords were fighting each other, these kinds of signs were seen, and they were fighting for good cause. Then the gods, along with the Gandharvas and celestial musicians, everybody were becoming disquieted. Seeing that matchless struggle, observing that the sky is in its own compare, battle between Rama and Ravana can be likened only to be battle between Rama and Ravana. The great armed Rama, who augmented the fame of the kings born in Raghu dynasty, stretching with anger the serpent-like arrow with his bow, chopped off the glorious head of Ravana, which was graced with blazing earrings. Then all the three worlds saw that head fallen on the ground. Another head exactly similar to that head cropped off on the shoulders of Ravana. Second head was again chopped off. Second head of Ravana was cut off by the arrows in the battle. Soon after the head was chopped off, it again rose into view. Rama chopped off that head too, with his arrows looking like thunderbolts. Hundreds of Ravana's heads of equal splendor were chopped off by Rama. See, did you just look at this? This is very, very significant. Rama chopped off that head too with his arrows looking like thunderbolts. Even Ravana's arrows, his attacks were like thunderbolts. In the same manner, Hundreds of Ravana's heads of equal splendor were chopped off by Rama. Yet no certainty about Ravana's death. Did you just see? He is not Dashanan. See how many heads. They were all from the divine serpent's heads. The hoods of the divine serpent were used by Ravana in he was dressing up with so many heads from the divine serpent. See here. Though equipped with many arrows and well versed in with all kinds of missiles, the valiant Rama, the augmenter of Kausalya's joy, then became thoughtful. What is the reason these arrows by which Maricha, Khara, Dushana, they were all killed, but Ravana is not getting killed? What is the reason? Lord Sri Rama is thinking. He showered streams of arrows in Ravana's chest. Even the Ravana, the enraged king of demons, who was seated in his chariot, tormented Rama by showering maces. He was not killed even then. The tumultuous battle, which caused one hairs to stand on end, took place in the sky, on the ground, and furthermore on the mountains. So, beheading was not the answer. That's one key. That so many lessons we learn, we need to understand. So, Bharata is the one who, with Lord Shatrughna, abducted their own wife because Kaikeyi Mata was not the true mother, but they respect her as they respect Kaikeyi Mata, and because they respect her, they had to follow the vow, and Bharata himself followed that vow. That is, Lord Shri Krishna himself followed that vow. He took away Sita and abducted, and again he was waiting for Rama. He was not scared. He was not fearing. He was waiting for Rama's arrival so that he can become the king again. That's the key. There is so much manipulation. See, these people, religious gods, they don't. They just infiltrate into everybody's lives. Everywhere we see there are so many religious temples. Even I used to worship them. But after knowing all the secrets, this is very, very pure knowledge. Beheading is very wrong. If we know that, we should be able to understand. We should spread this knowledge. There are so many great leaders now. Even Pawan Kalyan Garu is fighting for the Sanatana Dharma. But I really hope everybody knows the true facts also at the same time. And let us all preserve Sanatana Dharma, because Y chromosome is very, very precious. Jivatmas are very precious. Jivatma should turn to pure Krishna consciousness, because I can even post another video where there is a research on why and how the Y chromosome is getting diminished, getting vanished. If there is no Y chromosome, there is no future. Please remember that. We need this material realm. We need this material world to survive, to improve in our lives. We need to be in the path of purification. Even after the moksha, the pure Vaishnava also get to be part of this expansion of the universes, multiverses. So don't assume that pure Krishna consciousness is boring or waste of time. There is protein even in pure Krishna consciousness food. Sattvic food, actually, the true fact is sattvic food has good protein. All those chicken and they're all jiva himsa. We only gather sins and cancers from the religious gods. So try to understand and please watch this whole video. Thank you for your time.